we get
Yeah,
started?
let's do it. I'm ready.
It's an important
Hopefully
month in
you
the
guys
gathering
are-
office.
It is. I know you guys are excited. Post-hurricane via Florida, we are certainly praying for our friends and our family and our congregations that have been impacted both by Helene and by Milton.
And if you haven't seen our statement on those congregations that have been affected by the hurricane, make sure you check out the LCMS Youth Ministry Facebook group, especially as we get closer to the registration time. But tonight we want to welcome you to another Gathering Update Zoom as we help you prepare for the 2025 LCMS Youth Gathering in New Orleans. We'll be walking alongside you guys to help you prepare for your group to attend Endure in July.
Everybody's thinking about registration.
Even I am.
We are thinking about it very exclusively here, right? So we are talking about registration. A couple of things that we want to remind you is that you guys are gearing up for data entry. Data entry is going to start for us on October the 15th. So we encourage you to look through. If you go online, that registration book is going to give you all the information that you need there. We're going to have places, if you go back and listen to last month's Zoom, that's going to be a great spot for you to do. We have a podcast that you can listen to make sure that you have everything you need to submit your registration on that opening day. So one of the first things that you're going to need to do is to go ahead and we're going to mark the key dates. We're going to mark the key dates. We're going to mark the key dates by going the October 15th when that data entry can begin, right? So that's when you're going to start to put that information into the system. November 1st is that first postmark date that you can postmark that information to us. We'll talk about what you need to have in that envelope that you're postmarking to us here in just a minute. That's the only day that you can get the bonus inflation buster rate. $395. If you've done this before, $395 is the rate you paid the last cycle for the gathering. We're going to have one day where we're going to have that rate, and then it's going to go up just ever so slightly, starting November 2nd and all the way through March 4th. And then March 4th, the rate does go up to $375, and then registrations can keep coming in all throughout until May. Okay, so then these are the things that you're looking for. We already had that one.
Yep.
Right? What am I mailing?
So you are not mailing. Let's start
what we're not mailing first.
So we have some information gathering worksheets uploaded on the gathering website, which includes just grabbing information that you will have to enter in when you start your online data entry. So that's information for you if you're the primary adult leader or the adult leader, information of your youth, and the special needs worksheet if you have youth that are needing special needs accommodations at the gathering. So you'll have all this opportunity to get this information collected from your group, and then when online data entry opens on the 15th, you can take this information and add it into the registration software. So once that data entry is available on the 15th, you as a primary adult leader, which we hope a lot of you guys are going to take your congregation ID number, which you either got on the mailing. Hopefully you guys, a lot of you guys got the purple envelopes. We saw some pictures on social media.
Yeah.
Just so you know, there's not anything mission critical in that mailer except for your congregation ID number, but we do have instructions on how you can find your congregation ID number online. We encourage you to write this down because you're going to need it every single time that you log into the registration program, contact the gathering office, whether it's by phone or by email. We're going to ask you about that congregation ID number, so this number is really important to keep with you as you're starting this registration process.
Okay, keep your login information.
Yes.
Right? So when you go to log in at Vera as a PAL, make sure that you're writing down that login registration. You're going to need that information to check that account. And you're going to use that if you need to update a participant, right? If you want to check how much you still owe, it's going to be the place where other information is going to be dropped for you. So you want to make sure that you put that away somewhere handy so that you do not lose it.
Well, and it's good to know too that you don't have to do all of your group data entry at one sitting. You can come back and make changes, make additions. You don't have to sit down and do it all at one time. So keep that in mind as you're making sure you keep that login information easy access. I think we put a thing on the mailer where you can write it down so you have easy access to it. And if this process all still seems a little cloudy, we did make some step-by-step videos
They're fantastic.
to help you guys walk through the gathering registration process. You can watch them all, or you can watch just the topic that you have questions on. And if you watch that, you read the registration book, you check the gathering website, and you're still not quite understanding, contact the gathering office, and we will help you guys out through the registration process.
Right? We are trying really hard to make it as easy as possible. And so when you are done entering all the information, you're ready to send your stuff in. It's going to walk you through what needs to be mailed along with that. So you're going to print out all the pieces that you need mailed, including your pastoral affirmation form and your registration account form. But then you're going to think about like how you're going to pay, right? So you have two options. You can pay the deposit of $150 a person, or you can pay the full amount. Those are the two options that you have. You can pay by congregation or youth group check, but not a personal check. Money order, credit card, there's a 3% charge or fee on the credit card, or your LCEF account. And so to hear a little bit more about paying with your congregation's LCEF account, we have a friend here, Rahima Kabuga, works for LCEF. Maybe you guys saw her at National. I was going to share with us a little bit about paying with your LCEF account.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. It is so good to be with you. Thank you so much, Youth Ministry, for allowing me to be a part of this, and I get to talk 2 times. So, first of all, you need to make sure, if you're like, what is an LCEF account? You probably don't have one, but there is a way that you can do that. And so if you need to do that, a slide will be coming up later that has the youth gathering page for LCEF, and there's a way you can open an account there. LCEF is used in 2 primary ways. The first is to make your payment. The second is to order your Visa debit cards that we'll talk about later for the gathering. What's really important to know is that for this payment in relation to your registration form, when you're filling out this account payment, you need to make sure you have those funds in now, right? So if you're also using the account later on to order cards for the members of your youth group, we know that many of you are still doing some fundraiser activities well into that, and that deadline is not till May. But as a part of this registration, if you're getting everything in by that November 1st deadline to get that awesome $395 rate, it's important to make sure that you have at least that $395 in your account. If you are not sure because you are not the primary person for your church's financial account, please make sure you reach out to your church office and get that taken care of. And many of you, if you're going to be the primary adult leader for your youth group, I'd encourage you to talk to your congregation to make sure you get added. And on our page, again, that'll be coming up in just a little bit, they can even add you for just a short period of time. So we have put a temporary authorization form so that you don't have to worry about always being in charge of your youth group's financial account, but that you can be that primary person during the time in New Orleans and anything related to the youth gathering. So the form is pretty simple there and self-explanatory. Again, if you have any questions with that, you can reach out to Youth Gathering Office. You could reach out to LCEF. But if you have specific questions about your account or not sure if you have an account, reach out directly to LCEF.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rahima. And she's going to be back to talk in just a few minutes about ordering those LCEF debit cards that we know everybody loves to use. So yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So once you guys have all your data entered, your forms are printed, your pastoral affirmation form is signed, and you secured your payment option for your group, you are ready to package everything up and send it to the gathering office. So starting on November 1st, you can take your registration envelope to the post office and send it to the gathering office. Just remember, you cannot postmark your registration mailer before November 1st, or it will delay your registration, and nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. We don't want it, you don't want it.
And we want to remind you guys, there's really no need to overnight or expedite your registration mailer. Our only suggestion is that if the Postal Service offers a tracking for your envelope, utilize that, and that way you can follow it along, make sure that it actually did get to the office. But don't pay extra to send it to us. And we know that registration is a process that is mainly adult focused. That's a lot of work that our adult leaders, our primary adult leaders do themselves. But we encourage you to get your youth involved by decorating your registration envelopes. We always look forward to seeing them. We have some of the examples from 2022 on the screen now. It's always fun to just see how creative your youth can be. So that's the basic information for registration. We talked a lot about registration. Becky and Emily talked a lot about registration last month. So we encourage you that if you still have questions about that, maybe go check out last month's Zoom update and take a look at the Gathering website. And it will be around for office hours if you have some of those questions about registration. But we have a lot more to talk about tonight.
We do. We always have a lot more to talk. We have so many things to talk about tonight. And do know that Becky and Emily are in the Zoom. If you need to drop something in the chat, you're welcome to do that as we talk as well, right? So we have some adult leader resources. Hopefully you are paying attention as these get updated, as we add to them, but there's a couple of right now that you might be looking for, right? So this is all of those available resources, but a couple of things that might be really key for you as you get started. Like many of you are starting your first round of meetings, right? You're bringing your group together, maybe you're bringing parents and youth and your adult who are coming as adult participants are all coming together. And if this is your first time, maybe you're not entirely sure what those meetings should look like or what all you can include in those meetings. So we've created some sample meeting agendas. Experienced leaders probably know exactly what they want to cover in every meeting, but for those of you that maybe aren't used to leading big events like this can be helpful for you in being able to kind of go like, hey, these are some of the key topics that you want to talk about. There's ideas for games that'll help you build community. And to go with that, our amazing Bible study team has put together 5 pre-gathering Bible studies. And they have set these up to kind of get us ready with that theme of endure, to take us through the Old Testament a little bit on our way to the gathering. But they've also timed those Bible studies and kept them pretty short with the idea that you would use them as a part of those meetings, right? So that as a part of that time, you're not just doing just logistical things, but you're spending time together in God's Word and in Hebrews as we're preparing to come to the gathering. So those are great resources. We hope you're taking advantage of both of those.
And I think I saw there's even a raw potato involved.
There is a raw potato involved. And what's amazing is our Bible study team not only wrote these, but they did a podcast with us.
Yeah.
To talk about the kinds of things that you're going to be included in that. They have some amazing fun games that you can play. They made sure that in the first and the last of these Bible studies that there's places for you to get parents involved in that conversation as well if you're including parents in that meeting. So great way for you to kind of get started. So it was super fun to have them on the podcast. So that's something that you can go and listen to now as well. You will also know that we have it's probably not going to forever be a monthly checklist, although maybe. But for right now, there's so much happening in gathering planning that we're doing kind of an updated monthly checklist. And that checklist is just something quick and easy, kind of 10-ish things that you need to be thinking about, making sure that you've checked off your list of things to do. So maybe it's just a great way for those of you that are already planning to be like, yep, we're on. If you're just getting started, you still have so much time, it's going to be just fine. Like if you're just decided to do this yesterday, you're going to be okay. But a checklist can be really helpful for you to kind of know what are the things that you need to be working on right now. And then we have a 12-month planning timeline that you can look at that kind of gives you all those key dates to be thinking about. But there's tons of other resources as well. One of those resources is talking about Ministry Safe. So that's a part of that safety and risk management piece. As you talk with your adult leaders, this is also a key time, as we mentioned in the email recently, to make sure that you're doing background checks on all of those adult leaders who are going to be joining you, so that you can make sure that you're following their trainings and their background checks, so that everybody is ready and prepared as they can be for the gathering.
We also did a Zoom update. That was a couple months ago, but we did do one on safety and risk management where we talked more about Ministry Safe. So make sure you're looking through that playlist of all of our old update Zooms and getting you up to date as we get closer to the gathering. And speaking of all these great written resources, we don't want to forget about our district coordinators.
Never.
Never, absolutely never. So if you have not connected with your district coordinator, now is the time. These folks have been trained to answer all your gathering questions, including those registration questions. I know that I've seen a lot of questions that district coordinators can help with on the Gathering Facebook group. But they're also here to help you get connected with other congregations in your district if you're looking to share travel, share a bus, or maybe get some group travel going on. They're a great resource. They're also starting to finalize some of those district events. I know there's at least 2 districts that have their events listed on the Gathering website. So you want to make sure that you're connecting with those folks. Make sure you're connecting with it however your district is getting information out to congregations so you guys can get the updates on your district events. And as soon as those registrations are open for those events, you can sign up. And that's one less thing you have to prepare for.
Right? And they're amazing. The plans that are coming together for those district events are super fun. And that is a great way for kids to see young people who are like them, but who are living closer to them, right?
Yes.
Who are in their part of the world. Right? I went one too far because we cannot forget young adult volunteers. Young adult volunteers Orange Nation, that application is open now. So if you have young adults who are 19 to 25 at the time of the gathering who want to come and help and be a part of the gathering, we would love for them to apply to be young adult volunteers. I know that some of those young adults don't totally know what they're up to next summer yet. That's okay. Still be sure to go ahead and get that application in and help us get to that 1,000 young adults who apply. We can work some of those details out later on in the spring if we need to, but we want you guys to get that application in before December 31st. So right now, I'm looking at the number, we're a little over 550, which is not bad.
Yeah.
So a little bit of time to go. So be sure and encourage those young adult volunteers to join us. And then if you have adults who are still wanting to come and help, anyone 18 and over can join us for Team Flex. This is the name that we have now. This is our second cycle using the term Team Flex, so you may or may not be familiar, but these are adults 18 and over at the time of the gathering who are looking for a more flexible volunteer opportunity. You can volunteer for 4 hours a day, one day and not another day, all 5 days. You can volunteer for 8 hours a day. You can do a variety of different things. Incredibly helpful for us to be able to man all different kinds of things all across our program areas and to be able to support our gathering. There's so many amazing things that Team Flex can do. And so if you have a variety of areas that you can do that, these volunteers don't pay a registration fee, but they are responsible for their travel and their housing. And if you volunteer at least 4 hours a day, you're going to get a wristband that's going to get you into the programming. So it's going to be a great opportunity for some adults who want to come and join the gathering.
And if you have young adults or adults in your congregation that are wanting to serve, find unique ways to get them involved with your own youth group. Whether it's traveling or helping with fundraisers or coming to Bible study, it's great to get all those people together, working toward a common goal, right?
Right. Team Flex will open January 15th, and we'll have more information about that. We'll talk about that in future updates as well.
Yep, and another resource we want to make sure you guys know about are those LCF debit cards you heard us mention earlier. We're going to bring Rahema back to talk more about ordering those cards for your group and how they can be utilized at the gathering.
Thanks so much, Juliana and Meredith. Yes, so as Juliana and Meredith were talking about, LCF is been a longtime supporter of the youth gathering and primarily through the work of the financial means. We are the financial arm of the LCMS, so we serve that way. If you are a longtime youth gathering participant or adult leader, you might remember that we actually created a bank on site to do that. As technology has moved along and the world and the pandemic, we've really switched to being card only. In Houston, we ran into the blessing, I would say, of seeing that the main facilities being Minute Maid Park and the convention center, we're card only, and we're seeing the same things that are going to be happening in New Orleans. So it's really important to know that cash is not going to be accepted. And some of us have already been in some of the planning down in New Orleans, and even some of the restaurants in between the convention center and the Dome are already posting signs that it is card only. So please be prepared for that. One of the ways you as an adult leader can kind of take something off of your plate is utilizing the LCF debit cards. So the way this works is that LCF account, besides using it as a way to pay for your youth group's registration and that final payment, you can also use that as a great place to put all your fundraising dollars and then place orders for your students, and you'll be able to pick those cards up in Houston and give them out and trust your high schooler to be able to do that. We know kids nowadays, most of them have a Venmo or whatever it might be, so they're used to those transactions already. And the way it works is you can see that there are 4 values that are listed there, and you might think to yourself, well, we are only allowing X amount of dollars or more even than like 300. So you are not limited to the number of cards that you could do. So you'll have to kind of do that math. If it works out that you have 10 kids that are going and each kid has fundraised enough for $200, you could order 10 $200 cards. Or if you want to just check in with Johnny and make sure he isn't spending his money too fast, too quickly, you could order 20 cards at $100 and then divide them out. So what'll happen is when you arrive in Houston, our Visa card station will be located usually right across or next to the registration table, and we are open the exact same hours as registration will be. So you can simply come over and pick those cards up, and they'll be there for you to use and to hand out as you want. When you receive those Visa debit cards, one of the great things that comes with using them is while you're there at the gathering, LCEF is there the entire time as well. So if you're one of your youth loses their card or anything like that, we are able to deactivate it on site and reissue new cards. As I was talking to many of you this past summer, especially at nationals, you want to think about the fact, you might be thinking, well, most of my kids already have cards because their parents have accounts, etc. But you have to remember that part of the gathering is going to be over the weekend and you're not going to be at your home. So we've all maybe gone through the experience of losing a card Wells Fargo, Chase Bank, whatever, even with an expedite is not going to be able to get it on time, and they're not going to actually be able to mail it to you where you're at. They legally have to mail it to the address that is listed on file with that card. So if something happens to one of your youth's cards that is not with LCEF, then you as the adult leader will have to deal with that there on site and maybe pay for them for the rest of the time. But if they have this Visa debit card, that you can simply come and let us know. As an adult leader, you'll actually receive a list of all the card numbers and you'll get to assign. So again, if Johnny is given a $200 card, you can put his name next to that card. So then if Johnny loses it, you can simply stop by our help desk and you'll know exactly which card it is. So we don't even have to shut down all of the cards for the gathering. So that gives you a little, yes, sorry.
There's a question. Is $150 the smallest amount for cards?
Yes, that is the smallest amount for cards.
Cool.
Yes. Now, one of the things to also note is that every adult leader, again, especially if you're the primary or made the temporary primary on the account, is that you will have kind of a master card. So all of our LCF accounts come with a Visa debit card that's tied to that account. So you can pay for those group meals, things like that, gas, whatever that might be along the way. But this would be specifically for your child or youth in this case. And then what happens after is that the cards stay active for 5 days after the gathering so they can use them for those final snacks on the way home. And then they automatically shut off. You don't have to worry about picking them up or getting them back or knowing what the balance is. And any remaining balance will be credited back to your account. And you will receive a report about 4 to 6 weeks after. It takes us a little bit to go through everyone's account that breaks that down and reconciles that back. So what's great is your youth have been fundraising. Whatever they don't use goes back and gets to start the next fundraising opportunity for your next mission trip or for the 2028 youth gathering, which we won't talk about quite yet.
Rahima,
Not quite yet.
I saw one more question, which is, are the cards refillable?
Yeah, so they are not refillable, but we'll have additional cards there. So I always use Johnny because I used to be a teacher and Johnny was always the student that got in trouble. So if Johnny uses all of his $200 and there's still a whole day and a half left, you as an adult leader can come and purchase a new card at any time, and we'll have all of those values there that you can do and hand to that student, or if you need it for yourself or another adult leader.
Great, thanks, Rahima. Rahima's going to stick around for office hours, so if you guys have more questions about LCF Visa cards, she'll be here to answer those. But we want to make sure, since we're running short on time, that you guys have the information to join us next month or to get in contact with us before then, because registration is going to open before the next time we meet. So make sure that you got our contact information and you're checking the Gathering website and signing up for those Gathering update emails. We dropped the information for the November Gathering update Zoom in the chat. We'll put it here on the screen in a few seconds. Since we're running short on time, save your questions, put them in the chat. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we will come back for office hours and answer all of your questions.